Welcome to Being at Home with George during the time of COVID. And I'm really excited to be here with you today. And we always begin with creating the possibility of embracing whatever is happening and saying yes to it, and at the same time generating hope. And today is very interesting because I've had quite a week in terms of activities, and I feel like I'm struggling with low energy. And it's not because I'm depressed or anything, it's because I've expended a lot. And I just got back from a trip, and coming back after being on the road, this activity back to back for the whole day. And even when I was away working for 3 days, it's been a lot of psychic energy got expended because I'm meeting with a lot of people in long days, and I'm not really used to that. Plus, I've recently got a booster, and all of these things going on my body, acclimating to the booster shot, and everything else is going on. It's been really, really challenging. And last week we started off by talking about reset, reboot, renewal. And so I want to talk more about renewal or renewal. And Stephen Covey talks about it in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, about the importance of renewal. And the renewal, I want to look at it from a holistic point of view, or a whole person point of view, in terms of what are the things we can do physically, which has to do with the body, mentally, which has to do with the mind, emotionally, socially, which has to do with the heart, and spiritually, what has to do with the spirit. And also, that has to do with connection and meaning and connecting to the power within us. When I talk about the masterpiece, the spiritual power. I've been studying Edgar Cayce for decades now, and one of the things he talks about is the spirit is the life, mind is the builder, and the physical is the result. And so what that means is connecting spiritually, that spiritually, that's what feeds us mentally, emotionally, and physically. And sometimes we talk about energy in terms of physical energy, but we're really talking about the idea when we're in the physical material realm or the linear realm, we know that things are going to wear down. The entropy is going to happen. But we also know that in the non-physical realm, they call it centropy, that there's energy fronts that we can connect to in the universe. And that has to do when we think about physically, when we use a lot of psychic energy. And I mean this energy that has to do with, dealing with relationships, maybe overcoming adversity and whatnot. It seems like even though we sleep, it doesn't really capture the energy that we need to really get there. And so it's important on a continual basis that we're able to renew on all levels. So the physical level is pretty simple in terms of nutrients, making sure we get enough liquids, and also sleep, especially REM sleep. That's really important. But what do you do when you don't have enough sleep, or you don't get the good quality sleep? That has an impact on the body. And then mentally, this idea of what thoughts are we entertaining? There's some thoughts that are energy zapping, that you think about things or you focus on what's wrong, or something happens and we interpret it in a way where we feel like things are bad now, but they're going to get worse. This is what we find in the social media and the digital echo and media in general, is we focus so much on what's going on, impending doom, and we just focus on what's wrong. And that zaps the energy out of us. And that's that centropy I talked about, the way of connecting to energy in a way that enables us, empowers us, enlivens us. And so it's as simple as on a mental realm, when you think about something happens and we get to interpret what it means. So it's the proverbial glass half empty, half full. This one's not quite half full, but if I look at it as half empty, I feel more fatigue. And if I look at it as half full, or there's abundance, and then I can look at things like, okay, so I don't have a lot of energy right now, and I have a lot to do, and miles before I sleep, as I may take that from Stopping in the Woods from Robert Frost. But if I just focus on the one thing, then if I interpret me having low energy as I just expended stuff and I just need to access that energy font by focusing on what I can do and bringing some joy, some excitement, some interest, some curiosity into the process, then what happens is I end up getting access to more energy because I'm interpreting my fatigue not as something like I need to go sleep and not do anything. I interpret it in a way where I say, okay, there's a lesson here. And I know from sports and athletics that when you hit that wall, if you push through it in a compassionate way, you get a second wind. And the second one, all of a sudden, you have access to energy. And William James, the great philosopher, psychologist, said that we may have as many as 15 second winds, so we can just push through it. But it's a compassionate thing, and I would definitely sleep later. But just focusing on, okay, what can I do now, and not entertain those thoughts that I'm tired, I'm going to be sleepy, I'm going to make mistakes, and just really focus on, okay, just the one thing. And when I make a mistake, I can correct it and reset and reboot. But it's about this moment. I can manage the moment to moment. And what happens is I get access to that energy fund. So I interpret what's happening to me positively, and I get to talk about it in real time. And by talking about it and embracing it, and generating the hope to say, oh, there's a second win. If I just sustain it and continue to do what I'm doing, even though I feel tired or I don't feel like I have the energy to do it, is what Emerson said, do the thing and you will have the power. And so we push through it, but it's more like not pushing through in a way of insensitivity, but pushing through in a way with ease, with love, with compassion, and getting there and saying, okay, so what is it? And how do I relate to this? What is my body telling me? What is the energy level telling me? And it's saying that I need to start focusing on positive stuff, access the love or the half full, and realize that, okay, there's a lesson here, and I'm going to get to the next level if I can be comfortable being uncomfortable with the fatigue to the point where I do the thing and I will have the power. And so I wanted to talk about that today. So it's really important understanding the meaning of life. And the fact is, there's going to be times when I'm fatigued, and there's going to be times when I have a lot of energy. And it's really about how I interpret what that means, and my relationship to it is going to determine whether it becomes a roadblock or a stepping stone. And so this idea of renewal, and then reading and prayer, meditation, being still, finding pockets of stillness where I can just sit and breathe, let go, and just reset. And it reminds me of the movie. I watch a lot of movies, and there's a movie called Predator, and the governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, was in that movie, or the ex-governor of Minnesota. And there's a scene there where he's fighting and he's bleeding. And so one of his companions said, hey, man, you're bleeding. And he says, I don't have time to bleed. And so what I take from that is, okay, I don't have time to be tired right now. I don't have time to have low energy. If I have low energy, I can raise my energy, just breathe in, put my body in that posture where the energy can flow and do what I know to do. And the next step will be given to me. And as Emerson says, do the thing and you will have the power. So just getting through this, here it is. We're going on to 9.5 minutes. And my fatigue level initially was to the point where I could have easily entertained those ideas that said, cancel this. This is not the time to do it. You don't have the energy. Why don't you rest? And in actuality, what I find now is I have more energy than I had when I began. And I can sleep later and I can rest later. But right now, it's really more about be here now and embracing this opportunity to move through my second win, get a second win, and if need be, the third win or fourth win. So the idea is a renewal on the physical level. We know that on the mental level, meditating and getting our thoughts so that we're focusing on what we want, focusing on the positive, accenting the positive, generating enthusiasm, interest, curiosity, investigation. What is this? How can we deal with this? And spiritually, that there's an energy font that I can connect to when I can connect to the power within me. The power within me has access to that energy font. It's connected to that energy font. And I'll call that energy font love.